So hi everyone, whoever is watching this video right now, a very good evening. Hope you're doing good. So today, me and my group mates are going to be explaining about the Earth Leakage Circuit Breaker, which is also known as the ELCB, and this is an assignment for the subject Electrical Engineering Practice. So these are my group members. Ashwati is me, and we have Hargun Singh, Muhammad Fauzi, Muhammad Atikul Hakim, and Muhammad Alif Safwan. So to explain the introduction, I'm going to pass it to Hargun.
Thank you so much, Ash. So essentially, what I'll be going through is the entire scope of the presentation. So we've segmented the entire presentation into 4 different chapters. So the first chapter is the introduction to just discuss about what's the function of the earth leakage circuit breaker, followed by chapter 2, which is what's the differences between the earth leakage circuit breaker and the RCCB, which one of my teammates later on will explain, followed by chapter 3 in terms of the operations of ELCB in trip situations, and chapter 4 would be what are some challenges and problems that the ELCB faces in today's day and age, right? So that if you're watching this, you have a rough idea on the flow of the entire presentation. So without further ado, I will straight jump into the introduction side of things. So what is the function of the earth leakage circuit breaker? And in short form, I will use it as ELCB, right? So the ELCB is a very, very crucial component in terms of the safety, of us human beings when we are using electrical appliances, right? So the whole function of the ELCB is to reduce and eliminate the chances of electrical shock by offering a high impedance to Earth. Okay, what does that even mean, right? So let's just say, we are using our computer devices and it's, connected to the electrical supply, and there's a huge thunderstorm, meaning that's like a huge, voltage that comes in. If there's no ELCB, we'll all get electrocuted, right? Which is a very, very bad situation. So with the ELCB, it straight takes the high voltage and it transfers it down to Earth, right? Where it neutralizes after that. That's the most beautiful thing about ELCB. So it identifies any minor stray of voltages on an electrical appliances, like I mentioned, a laptop, the phone, or even the TV, and conducts the surface, and it comes in handy in the circuit once an unwanted voltage is identified. Now, how does the earth leakage circuit breaker even works, right? So it works very, very simply. It has a latching relay in the incoming main power rail. So if you look at the diagram over here, right, it's like a switch, where you can turn on and turn off, right? So through its switching contact, if you can see here, the switching, the relay disconnects power from the appliances in unsafe circumstances. So I'm pretty sure, we have all been situations where, there's a thunderstorm and all of a sudden everything turns off, right? That is because the switch disconnects from the power. So once, after a couple of minutes, we go and we turn it on, then the electrical supply comes back. That's what the ELCB actually does. So the ELCB then detects the fault current from either an animal or a human being to the earth wire connection in the appliance. So in case there's a huge voltage across the ELCB sensor coil, then the rated voltage, so you can see in the picture there's a rated voltage, right? It disconnects the power and the circuit remains off until it's turned on manually, meaning we manually have to go and turn it on. So that's basically the introduction to ELCB. Now I'll pass on to my teammate Muhammad Alif Safwan, who will be explaining the 2 types of ELCB.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to the type of ELCB. There are 2 types of operator in ELCB, such as voltage operated and current operated. So we go to the voltage operated. We go to the current operated. Current operated ELCB majority consists of transformers that has a secondary winding and 2 primary winding. No current flow through the minor winding during the stable operation. Current flow from the phase wire to the natural wire, and any small error causes flow of current to the ground. So as we shown in the diagram about voltage operator program that we need to know. So we can know about the difference between primary and secondary winding. Okay, now we go to the voltage current, voltage operated. Voltage operated ELCB detect a voltage to identify any leakage in the earth terminal. The earth terminal is the ground in the connection, while the metallic body is the fault terminal. When a wire in the line get in contact with the load, there will be a current flowing from the fault to the ground, and this is referred to as an earth fault. There we have some example for current operator, for voltage operator program that make the circuit successful, like we show beside the sentence. Okay, now we go to my teammate Muhammad Atikul Hakim.
Thanks to my teammate Salif Safwan. My name is Muhammad Atikul Hakim. Okay, as you guys know about RCCB, now we are going to see difference between RCCB and ELCB. Okay, so the RCCB is stand for residual current circuit breaker, which is for the safe device to detect and treat against electrical leakage current. And then it is an electrical wiring device whose function is to disconnect the circuit when it detects current leakage to the earth wire. It also gives protection against electric shock or electrocution caused by direct contact. As you can see for this image, we have a line wiring direct to the winding, and then we have a neutral wire that also direct to winding in RCCB devices. So we have a relay and earth for the ground, and we move to see the difference between ELCB and RCCB. Okay, for the first RCCB different, for RCCB is refer to EL stand for residual current circuit breaker, while for ELCB stand for electric leakage current breaker. For the second, RCCB is a new name and refer to current operated device, especially for the current operation. And ELCB is referred to voltage operated leakage device to save the home appliance. And the third is the RCCB, it ensured 100%, or we call ideal, detection of leakage current and available to sense the AC, which is alternation current, as well as DC leakage current. And for ELCB is not preferred, as it can only detect current that flow back through the main earth wire. For the last difference between RCCB and ELCB is RCCB has no connection with the earth wire, and that's why it can trip when both current, phase and neutral, as I shown in diagram just now, are different, and it withstand up to both the current are the same. For ELCB is working based on earth leakage current for save the voltage. This device measure the voltage on the earth conductor, and voltage was not zero. This indicate current leakage to earth. And I will pass to my teammate Ashwati for next present.
Okay, so moving on, we have the operation of the ELCB in trip situation. So basically the ELCB, they detect two types of faults, which is the permanent failure, also known as permanent damage, or temporary failure or temporary damage. So permanent failure or permanent damage. Okay, so basically when there is a leakage of current in the circuit to earth or ground, it will normally trip. So basically, like when you're using a grinder or using a hairdryer, and maybe some components inside there, they are not, how do I say it? They do not work anymore. So it would cause basically the current to leak. So that would cause damage to the device, obviously. So for permanent failures, the damage must be repaired or removed immediately. So for example, if you use a hairdryer and the hairdryer is not working anymore, you have to remove it immediately, or it would not um, the ELCB will trip again automatically without being triggered. So until the damage is there and it's not repaired, the ELCB is going to be automatically tripping, and it's not going to be reset until the damage is removed. So if this happens frequently, the ELCB can be damaged. So as an example, consider electrical electronic system or a short circuit. So next we have temporary failure or temporary damage, which is it will automatically activate the ELCB without first repairing or removing the damage from the supply circuit. So basically this is used in um, like factories and so on. So with the temporary failure or temporary damage, you do not need to remove the device that is causing the current to leak. So yeah, it would automatically activate the ELCB. So for example, if lightning or and overloading are common occurrence in a residential or industrial area, it can cause further problems for the user to automatically activate on their own, or activate the ELCB on their own. So moving on, I have Fauzi to present on the last part.
Thanks, Ashwati, for the explanation. So moving on, we are at the last part, which is chapter 4, the challenges or disadvantages using ELCB or earth leakage circuit breaker. The first one is basically ELCB is a voltage detecting device that are currently outdated, or at the end is an old device and currently replaced by RCCB as explained by my friend Atik just now. That works on a principle of core balance current transformer, whereby ELCB works by detecting voltage drops across tripping coil that will trigger trip, as we can see in the figure above on the slide, where the incoming power is at the top and the outgoing power at the bottom, and at the middle of it, they are the sensing and tripping block, which will detect the leakage. Hence, ELCB are not effective since they cannot monitor current flow in the wire phase as good as RCCB. So, we can conclude that a few disadvantages that we found out while using ELCB. So the first one is ELCB do not detect faults that don't pass current through the CBC to the earth road. And second, ELCB do not allow a single building system to be easily split into multiple sections with independent fault protection. It is because of the earthing system are usually use common earth road. And second, ELCB also may be tripped by external voltage from something connected to the earthing system, such as metal pipe, TNS earth, or a TNC as combined neutral and earth. And next, ELCB also may detect leak appliances such as water heater, washing machine, and rice cookers that will cause the coil in the ELCB to be tripped. And the last is when a trip occur in the LCB, a slight current will run into the ground through earth. That means will create confusion between line or neutral current and lead to an unstable magnetic field that encourage current flows through minor winding which link to sensing circuit as shown in the figure above, which means this situation is not good. So from that, that's all from me, and thank you.